Okay, so we go from one movie in particular for the blockbuster season to the whole thing as a whole. Okay, we just were talking about Fast 10, okay, which is going to be another blockbuster. Okay, so according to THR, again, um, the magic number for the summer box office could be $4 billion, and I think legitimately has a chance to surpass $4 billion. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. After more than 3 years of the World Health Organization, they announced on May 5th that COVID-19 is no longer qualifying as a global emergency. James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 opened in theaters the same day, kicking off the summer box office. Never has there been a summer season more critical to Hollywood's movie studios and cinema operators as this one, as both look to rebound from COVID-19 lows. I have long said I have long said that this summer will be the bellwether of the health of the theatrical business. It will be the first play, period, with normal release pattern, a veteran studio executive told THR. After an April super bloom at the box office led by the Super Mario Brothers movie, bullish box office pundits believe that it is possible for summer revenue to clear $4 billion domestic and return to a pre-COVID level, or at least some semblance of return. Though the recovery, a major issue has been lack of product due to the delays by the pandemic. This summer's pipeline, however, is a very different story, including 42 wide releases, up from 22 in the summer of 2022, which topped out at 3.4 billion, and 32 wide releases in 2019, which revenue clocked in at 4.34 billion. The industry is coming back to life quite nicely, says Wall Street analyst Eric Handler of MKM Partners, citing the better than expected performance of Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which has already earned north of $530 million globally. But to what extent is full speed? That's where we must continue to look back at 2019 as a barometer. We're still double digits down year to date. He's not wrong. For the year to date, domestic revenue stands at $3 billion, up 29% from the same corridor a year ago, but behind 2019 by 20%. The good news, domestic revenue crossed $3 billion on May 14th, a mark not reached until June 10th last year. This represents a remarkable recovery for theaters in the United States and Canada, says Comms chief analyst Paul Darabach. This looks like one of the strongest summer lineups in industry history, at least on paper. Adding fuel to the fire is a nice trend of crowd-pleasing movies that are showing incredibly strong week after week holds. This could also be a determining factor hitting the 4 billion threshold. The breadth of the summer slate is impressive. From Disney's Little Mermaid, which is coming out the 26th, Pixar's Eternals, the 16th, The Flash, which is also being released the 16th, Warner Brothers' Barbie, July 21st, Oppenheimer, which is being released the same day, and the next installments of Fast and Furious, which we just had, Indiana Jones at the end of June, June 30th, and of course Mission Impossible, July 12th. We're no longer we no longer feel like we're playing on defense, an optimistic AMC theater chief Adam Aaron told THR during the annual confab of theater owners at CinemaCom in April. We're no longer in survival mode, but rather in thriving mode. During CinemaCon, several studio executives called on theater owners to make sure consumers have a good experience when resuming their movie-going habits. That includes pricing and curbing the number of trailers and third-party ads. At AMC locations, for example, there are 20 to 25 minutes of trailers and a Nicole Kidman public service announcement, while Cinemark's pre-movie show includes trailers and a third-party ad. According to a THR Morning Consult poll, patrons are more amenable watching trailers than a traditional advertisement. However, the majority of those queried said that trailers should run no longer than 9 minutes before a movie starts, and few are in favor of anything longer more than 14 minutes. Specifically, 27% of the respondents in the survey said an appropriate length for time for trailers is less than 5 minutes. 31% prefer no more than 5 to 9 minutes, while 20% opted for 10 to 14 minutes. From there, sentiments fall sharply. Just 8% said an appropriate length for a trailer is 15 to 19 minutes. On the other end of the spectrum, 7% of those said they would prefer no trailers at all. Well, of course they would. So we've got a lot of work to do to get back to where we need to be. We're going to keep people coming back to the movies. Paramount president of domestic distribution said, we need a true partnership focused on the long-term health of the business and not on the short-term gains. So I'm going to stop there, and then it gives a chart. So a couple things. Number one, we're definitely going to hit $4 billion. I just don't see us not hitting $4 billion. Number two, I think Guardians is going to be that film. Not only does it have legs, okay, not only is it the first movie of the summer, however, I think it could be a $700 or $800 million film, okay, and that would be a complete success. That being said, let me talk about the trailers for a minute, because I am one of those nerds, okay, that love to read the most boring material you will ever look at in your life, okay? So anybody who's interested in this can go find it themselves. But the MPA, okay, the Motion Picture Association, actually has guidelines for trailers. Not only do they have guidelines for trailers, they have the guidelines for the length of trailers and who is actually watching these trailers. And when I say who, I mean the people that are actually watching the movies and the trailers to get the ratings that you're getting. Okay. That being said, your average run-of-the-mill trailer, okay, is going to run anywhere. So according to the MPA, every single studio out there, Paramount, Universal, MGM, Amazon, whatever, they're allowed one trailer. And by the way, these could have changed, but this is when I read it 3, 4, 5 years ago. Every single studio, major studio, is allowed one trailer, and that includes Pixar and everybody else, one trailer of 2 minutes and 30 seconds. One. Every single trailer has to be under that threshold. Now, trailers are for marketing. We all know this. If, in fact, the majority of these people, I mean, going to Fast X yesterday, I can say I looked at 5 trailers, okay? I looked at The Flash, okay? I looked at the new movie coming out. I totally forgot about it. I looked at 4 or 5 trailers. Okay, it's fascinating how quickly you forget them, but I looked at about 4 or 5 trailers. Now, if each one of those trailers is 2.5 minutes, call it 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay, at 5, that's about 12 minutes worth of trailers. Okay, give or take. What blows my mind is the very first trailer that was put out for Fast X. You guys can go back and watch this on YouTube. Was 4 minutes long. I'm not kidding. I think it was like 4 minutes and 13 seconds. It's a whole movie. I don't have to go to the movie to see it. I mean, that is way, way, way too long. Okay? What the whole premise of a trailer, the first trailer is to get you interested. It's to pique your interest. The second trailer is to give you a little more about the story. Okay? And if there is a final trailer, you obviously, hopefully they don't spoil it for you, but you get all of the meat and potatoes in there. What they did, and even one of the other ones that I can remember that was really, really long, okay, and there was a little bit more behind it, was Dune. Dune had over if that very first trailer for Dune back in 2021, I want to say, or 2020, that was over 3 minutes. So, but that's a different story because unless you're an avid Dune reader, unless you know of the story, you've read the books, like me, for example, I knew of the 1984 debacle. I know that Frank Herbert wrote the books. That's it. I had no idea what the story was. So that was good for me. But trailers are they're marketing tools. And this is why these companies spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to put the trailers in front of your favorite movies. Whether it is The Flash, whether it is Mission Impossible, whether it is Oppenheimer, whether it is Fast and Furious, because they want to get as many eyeballs on it as possible. Okay? Sure, they can spend $5 million on the Super Bowl, but big deal. And that's like the premium time. But that being said, some of these films you go back and see 2, 3, 4 times. The more you watch a trailer, unless you have zero, the more you watch a trailer, and this is just a fact, the more it sits in your brain. And you go, at first you hate it. And then, okay. And then you start to grow on it. And I'll give you a perfect example for me was The Flash. I said, I had no desire to see this film. Zero. I said I'd cover it, but I really, if I were an outsider, so to speak, and I did not have to go and watch it for the channel, I wouldn't go watch it. I wouldn't. But I watched the trailers, and like when I see that, and I saw Fast X in Screen X, I saw Fast X in Screen X yesterday, but I'm like, hell yeah, I want to see this. I want to see this in IMAX. That's how big it is. But the trailers are there for not only the fans, but they have to advertise. They have to tell people, look, this movie's coming. Okay? And it's marketing. And we may not like them. Okay? We may not like them. We may think they're terrible. And we may, oh, really? They're showing the Flash trailer again? I've seen this trailer 16,000 times. But that 16,000 the first time, it's a simple fact of, even if you're invested in the film, these theaters, and I have always been fascinated who picks the, who picks the trailers and how it's done. Anyways, but it's to get your butts in the seats, to tell you it's like a television show that says, Real Talks is coming. Our next show is going to be on Tuesday. Okay, so we're going to give you a little trailer. By the way, guys, speaking of trailers, little nugget for anybody that's going to be stopping by this channel. Okay, in about a week, I'm going to have a very special little trailer come to me from a very cool guy, and I'm going to put it up there, and I want you guys to give me your opinions on it, and hopefully this is going to generate more traffic. But regardless, yeah, but they're for, at the end of the day, they're for them. As far as the box office is concerned, I got off track there. As far as the box office is concerned, we're going to hit $4 billion without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, you've already got Guardians that's made over $500 million. Okay. And we're not even in June yet. We're assuming The Little Mermaid, even though it's not my cup of tea, it's still going to generate a lot of buzz. And it's going to do probably a lot of money overseas. Okay. Then, even pictured here, okay, you have Across the Spider-Verse, which is going to be huge. Okay. You have Elemental, which I'm dying to see. I really am. I think it looks cute. I think it looks fun. It's going to be a good time. You've got Indiana Jones, okay? Regardless of what the reviews are, right? You've got The Flash, okay? You've got Oppenheimer, okay, for the hardcore, story-driven type of people, which, by the way, has a huge cast, okay? Robert Downey Jr., Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, okay? You've got Fast and Furious, which is still going to continue to make money, okay? And Barbie. So, I mean, even if, look at it this way, even if every single one of those movies makes $500 million, and by the way, I think Mission Impossible, if I didn't name that, even if each one of those movies makes $500 million, which clearly I think like a Mission Impossible is definitely going to make, okay? I think it's got a chance to get closer to $1 billion. I still think it's going to be the biggest movie this summer. You've already hit your $4 billion like that. Now, there is one caveat, and that's this. In the article, one of the gentlemen was referring to 2019. That was kind of a outlier. And the reason I say that is because in 2019, we had Avengers Endgame, right? Avengers Endgame wiped everybody out. I mean, you're never going to see another Avengers Endgame ever again. Ever. I mean, the records that it broke for getting opening weekend, it made $357 million opening weekend. The fastest to $1 billion. Okay? The fastest to $1.5 billion, the fastest to $2 billion. Okay? That was the culmination of going all the way back 11 years and over 20 films. You're never going to see that again. So to compare it to 2019, because we made almost $4 billion in 2000, the theaters made almost, box office, Hollywood, made almost $4 billion, or a little over that in 2019. That is an outlier. That is always going to be there. This year, this picture, okay, just demonstrates. I mean, a lot of this too, I mean, take The Flash, for example. That's been on the shelf for 2 years because of COVID. Okay? Take Mission Impossible. That took 3 years to film. Why? Because of COVID. We are still getting movies that were made from COVID. The Batman made $770 million worldwide. Why? Because everybody was waiting for it. We were all waiting for it. It blew up for 47 or 50 million opening weekend. Okay? The thing is that when you have this kind of, you're still gaining all this stuff. So, like I said, I think 2019 is an outlier. But even if every single one of these films pictured makes $500 million, you're there in no time. And, it's going to be interesting to see moving forward how much, because we're in the third week of the writer's strike. Now, obviously, this is going to affect stuff for, hopefully, 2024, 2025. But if this keeps going on, let's say this goes on another 3 months. Let's say this doesn't end by September. Now everything gets pushed back, right? I mean, we have the whole, because Marvel's a big thing, Jonathan Majors is going back to court on June 4th, okay? We will then know what happens with this. And Kang Dynasty, that's in a set date of 2024 right now. Well, what happens with that? That's probably going to get pushed back to 2025, which means Secret Wars is going to get pushed back to 2026. But those are huge, huge, huge movies for Marvel. Those are billion-dollar movies. So it's all going to depend on a lot of different factors. But as far as this year is concerned, no doubt in my mind, no doubt in my mind, if we don't get to $4 billion, we're going to get very, very close. 3.7, 3.8, something around there. Because I can't see it not happening. Okay? Because you're going to have a film like Mission Impossible just blow up. Blow up. Right now, as it stands, I saw a tweet the other day. I don't know who it was from. The Flash is tracking for about 110 million opening weekend. Now, that's call a spade and take that with a grain of salt. We're still about a month out from that. But, that's one of the two movies, that's the second of the three movies I've spoken about that will win 2 weekends. Guardians was the first, The Flash is the second, Mission Impossible is the third. But I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine in the grand scheme of things. And I understand the comparison to 2019, but it's still you can't do that. If Mission, and I know I keep harping on Mission Impossible, but this is going to be part one of a two-part, the finale. The finale. This is going to be bigger, more bombastic, more wild, story-driven, action-packed. Look out. That I think with Tom Cruise's goodwill, with the success of Maverick, with the way Chris McQuarrie and Cruise have basically, they love to bring everything full circle and close the circuit. Everything else, that is either going to be the number, get very close to $1 billion or get to $1 billion. Mark my words. I've been right every single step of the way about this movie. So hopefully, fingers crossed I can continue on that trend, but that's going to be the big one. So, anyways, of that long-winded, tiraded rant of my opinion, what do you guys think about this? Do you think it's going to make more than $4 billion or less than $4 billion? Which movie, A, is going to be the biggest earner of this summer? And B, which one do you think is going to be the one that is not going to be the biggest earner? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody.